one of the really interesting things about watching films with a certain actor is that I will watch films that I don't normally care for, and sometimes I'll discover films that actually I really love. Sometimes it goes about as well as I expected for my personal tastes, and the latter category applies to Homegrown. This is a 1998 film directed by Stephen Gyllenhaal, written by Nicholas Kazan and Stephen Gyllenhaal, and we have a brilliant cast. And I will talk more about the cast in a moment, but we have John Lithgow, Hank Azaria, Billy Bob Thornton, and Jamie Lee Curtis, Ted Danson. It is because of Ted Danson that I became aware of this film, and I'm trying to watch every film that every main Cheers cast member has appeared in, and I thought, let's give this a go. Honestly, I really hated it, but that's down to personal preference. As I said, there are plenty of times when I watch a film that on paper doesn't appeal to me, but the execution is actually quite exciting. This one, not so much. I'll read the description from IMDb because I think this sums it up pretty well without spoiling anything, and I think it could definitely show what kind of film it is. This says, three marijuana farmhands see their boss killed, ending their peaceful existence in Northwest California. They decide to harvest, process, and sell the crop themselves. Crime bosses, corrupt cops, killer pilot, greed, etc. ensue. That sums it up quite well. The killing happens at the very beginning of the film, and I thought this is a dramatic start. It's not a bad start at all. And then, honestly, I can't say it's a bad film necessarily, because this is not my kind of film, so I can't compare it to films that might have a similar narrative. But I will say it's very quick. It has a lot to offer. There's a lot going on around, not in a way that's chaotic, but we have a lot going on that we can kind of go back and forth between that makes it feel very busy, and it never felt like it was slowing down or dragging its heels or anything, and that certainly works very well. I believe the characters seem very well written, the performances are really strong. That probably comes as a surprise to nobody, and it does feel very atmospheric. It feels very gritty. It feels quite anxiety inducing. It's not the environment I would ever want to be in, but I think it works very well for this kind of film, based on my limited experience with this kind of film, of course. But all of that being said, I didn't care for this at all. It does not appeal to me personally, so my opinion probably means nothing. Unless, like me, you are perhaps curious about this for whatever reason, somebody in the cast, but it's not your kind of film. I will say it does feel like the kind of film that will only appeal to people who like this kind of film, which might seem like a ridiculous thing to say, but as I said, plenty of times a film on paper doesn't work for me, but then I watch it and it's actually great. But for me, that's not the case here. So based on my limited experience with films like this, it seems like we have a well-written narrative, really great pacing, the characters seem to be well-written, the performances are very strong, but it doesn't appeal to my personal tastes at all. So I didn't enjoy it, but if it sounds like your kind of film on paper, then I think it might appeal to you. It seems to deliver what it promises, and I guess that's the most important thing. Obviously liked seeing Ted Danson in this, great performances all round. As a one-time watch, it's fine, not the worst thing in the world, but for me personally, once was enough. I'd love to know what you think of it if it does appeal to you. Did it meet your expectations? Did it work well? For me personally, not a great film, but if somebody were to say they liked it because it's their kind of narrative, their kind of characters, then I can understand that being the case.